Hello, welcome or welcome back. Today I am sharing wonderful travel hacks from my amazing husband. He is rarely, if ever, on the channel, but he scripted this video out with me. I'm very excited to bring you these, and let's jump right in. So the number one travel hack. Now, what you need to know before I get into these is that Scott has been an airline pilot for all of the 35 years of our marriage. So since 1990, he has been working as an airline pilot, traveling roughly half of every single month, different hotels all the time, a crazy schedule. So if anybody knows travel, it's Scotty. We sat down, I said, what are the things you would most want people to know? And this is what he said. So you can listen, you cannot listen. Personally, I use almost everything on this list, and I really think he knows what he's talking about. So the number one thing that Scott said he uses and he thinks everyone should use is a white noise app. Now, you can get these on your phone. Some people have little portable machines. He and I both use different apps. I'll put the ones we use below. He uses one that costs money. The one I use is free. But hotels are noisy, and it's not just noise from people. It can be noise from plumbing. It can be noise from the air conditioning unit. It's just all kinds of noises that are different than being at home. And having a white noise app, preferably one that you also use at home, is really helpful because it just drowns out all that sound, signals to your brain that it's time for sleep, and it will really help you get good sleep even when you're in a strange hotel room. Number two, the coat hanger on the curtains trick. Now, you've probably seen this one. I think a lot of Instagram people like to talk about it, but no matter how great the blackout curtains are in a hotel, there's always this little teeny tiny gap that will shine through. And in Scott's case, he's frequently getting into a hotel at midnight or later, so he has to be able to get good sleep into the morning. So he takes a coat hanger, the kind for pants with the little grippers on them, and he puts them one on top of the other, and it just closes that gap and will keep the sun from streaming into the room at 6 a.m. or 7 a.m. or whatever time of day it is, and it will really help you get a better night's sleep. Number three, Google Translate. Obviously, if you're going to any place where English is not the primary language, you don't want to rely on people being able to understand you, and Google Translate is a fabulous way to do this. We recently had a situation with an Uber driver when we were in Colombia, and Google Translate was a godsend. The thing I will say is if you've never used it, make sure you practice with it at home because it's not as intuitive as you would think, but it's a fabulous app. My son and I used it in Japan. It's really wonderful. So Google Translate, download it, practice with it, and use it. Number four, MultiPurpose Shoes. I kind of laughed when he said this one because I think I have said this in every packing video I've done. And by the way, if you're really into packing videos, there are a lot of packing videos on this channel, but having shoes that do double duty is super important because shoes not only take up a lot of physical space, they actually weigh a lot too. So he always makes sure that he has his work shoes, which he's wearing as a pilot. Obviously, he has uniform shoes. And then his workout shoes will also double as going out shoes. So he chooses workout shoes that are a little more neutral, kind of more basic colors, white, gray, or black, that he knows he can wear out to a decent restaurant with jeans and a collared shirt as much as he can wear them to the gym. And he finds that only packing one additional pair of shoes in addition to what's on his feet is really important. The only exception he makes to that, because he travels to a lot of Caribbean and Bahamas and those sorts of places, is he does also take flip-flops, but flip-flops take up so little room that we almost don't even count those. But, multi-purpose shoes. Number five, when you get in the room, check the bed and the pillows. And I would add, check the overall housekeeping. He throws the covers back and makes sure that the sheets are clean. He's looking for hairs or clothing left behind. He checks the pillowcases to make sure they're clean. I also check for bed bugs. So I pull back the mattress pad and look along the lines. You're looking for like little black, what looks like specks of pepper. Thankfully, so far, we have never had bed bugs, but it can happen anywhere. Even the nicest hotels can have bed bugs. And I also extend that kind of kind of housekeeping check to the rest of the room, because you don't want to find out that the shower wasn't cleaned properly until you go to take a shower. So I just kind of do an overall sweep and make sure that everything looks clean and tidy. And he takes this bed check situation very seriously. I've been traveling with him a lot more lately, and it's a whole mood. Like, he is ripping, well, first of all, comforters go on the floor right away unless it's the kind with a duvet where it's washable. If it's a coverlet or something that doesn't look like it can be washed, those go on the floor right away. Throw pillows also he puts on the floor right away, and making sure that the sheets are nice and clean. Number 6, don't be afraid to order off menu. This is more for you if you travel often, but even if you're just on a 2-week vacation, at some point you don't want to be eating really rich sauces. You don't want to be eating a lot of fried foods. Doing that every single meal for a week or more, you're not going to feel good. So don't be afraid to order more simple versions of what's already on the menu. He's kind of an expert at this, but like if they have a salmon dish, for example, ask them if they can just serve the salmon to you with some oil and salt and maybe toss it in a salad or something like that. Generally, restaurants are very accommodating, especially restaurants in hotels, because they're used to travelers. So don't be afraid to order off menu. Number 7. As much as possible, stick to your routine. I have talked about this before. This is something I do, especially if I'm traveling internationally. If you always go for a walk in the morning when you first wake up, try to time it so you can go for a walk in the morning when you first wake up. He works out every single day. In fact, for the pilots, they always make sure they have a hotel with decent workout facilities. So he has this regular routine where whenever he gets to the hotel, unless it's really late at night, he tries to go work out before he goes to dinner. But really sticking to your regular eating, sleeping, exercise routines as much as possible helps him feel a little bit more human, helps him not feel completely out of whack, even if he's in different time zones. And then when he gets home, he hasn't like lost any ground, because obviously if you're traveling over half the month, if you're not sticking to that workout routine, you're going to be in trouble. He said one of his favorite hacks is stick to your routine. Okay, the next one is when you get in the room, turn the thermostat all the way down. Hotel thermostats lie. And unless you're in a really, really cold place, by and large, a hotel, you're going to want to cool off the room. And it may say that it's 68 in the room. He is always saying that it never is. So he just turns it down as cold as he can get it. He would always rather request an extra blanket and have the room be nice and cold. Scientists have been studying this for years. Humans actually do sleep better in a cold room. So just turn that air conditioning all the way down. Number 9. Now this is only for those of you that still iron. He has to iron his uniform shirts frequently when he's on the road. Make sure you blow the steam through the iron. He has had one too many times where he has gone to iron a shirt and he's used the steam function and some kind of black, disgusting gunk has come out of the holes of the steam in the iron. And even if you don't use the steam function, this can happen. Stuff can get trapped in there. So he always turns it way up, fills it up with water, and just like presses the steam button multiple times and irons a few times on the ironing board to make sure that there's no black gunk that's going to come out and get on his uniform shirt. That would not be a good look. Number 10, check the clock. So a lot of people still use the alarms on clocks in hotel rooms. If someone before you was there and they set an alarm for a time that is not when you want to get up, you're going to be very upset if that alarm goes off at, say, 6 a.m. and you weren't scheduled to get up until 9 a.m. So he always double checks that there's no alarm set on the clock that's in the room. Number 11, hydrate, hydrate, hydrate. I know that seems obvious, but we've known that about air travel for many years. It really dries you out. He maintains that he literally cannot drink enough water. He's drinking all the time and it's still never quite enough. Dehydration is a major issue for anybody who's traveling, especially for airline pilots. So he would say anytime you're flying in the air, hydrate as much as humanly possible. And of course, the best hydration does not come in the form of a margarita, even though you might want it to on that flight. Water is the best way to go. Ginger ale, because who doesn't love a good ginger ale on a flight? But you want to stay away from dark colas, alcohol, coffee. As much as possible, you want it to be water and clear liquids. Okay, number 12, hang your clothes up immediately when you get into the room. Now, he said this and it kind of surprised me, but he said what happens if you don't do that is even if it's just a few hours, he'll go to pull a shirt out and it's been jammed up in the corner of his suitcase. He generally takes a couple of like nicer shirts for going out to dinner when he's traveling. So he likes to make sure he hangs that up as soon as he walks in the room. I think that's a great idea for anybody, just to make sure that your clothes get as wrinkle-free as possible. And yeah, he said hang up your clothes. He even does this if he's only staying there one night. He always hangs up his clothes. I thought that was interesting. Did not know that. 35 years with the man. You learn something new every day. Okay, number 13. If you're in a connecting room, put a towel under the door. We learned this when we were in Barbados. I had heard it somewhere and then I told him about it and now he's using it all the time too. A lot of times if you have a connecting door, you can clearly hear people talking in the room next door. If you put a towel underneath the door, it really helps mitigate that sound. So put a towel under the door. Preferably you don't have a connecting room. That's the ideal, but if you're stuck with one, this works on cruise ships too. Towel under the door takes care of it. All right, number 14, check the plumbing and hot water when you first get into the room. Now this was more of a me thing, but he does it now too. I had multiple times in hotels where I went to take my shower either at night or the next morning and there was no hot water. That's much better to find out when you first get into the room where either there's time to fix it or they can move you than when you're going to get ready or when you want to just take that hot shower and then get into bed. You really want to know that in advance. So I have now gotten in the habit, as has he, of turning on the hot water and making sure that both in the shower and in the sink, the hot water is operational. It's one of those things that it's kind of surprising how many times it's happened to both of us where the hot water in a room doesn't work, but you want to find out when there's still plenty of time to make arrangements for a different plan. And then lastly, and this one is probably the most important, number 15, have a place for everything and everything in its place. And this, of course, is music to my ears as someone who talks about organization in travel all the time. Scott has a designated pouch for cords, a designated pouch for his passport. He knows exactly where he puts his airport ID every time he goes to put it away. He knows exactly where all of his toiletries are. And it's those systems that enable him, no matter how late at night or how early in the morning he's getting ready to go or leave the hotel room, to make sure he doesn't forget anything. Because he can do a quick sweep of all of the different pockets in his bag, the little pouches where he knows things belong. And because that is always where that particular item goes, he is never losing anything. That's not entirely true. Sometimes he still loses things, but by and large, he's gotten much better about not losing things because there is a place for everything and everything goes back in its place. I hope you've enjoyed this. Scotty is behind the scenes, but always cheering me on and helping in any way that he can. Did your favorite hack not make the list? Make sure and comment below because I'm sure other people would appreciate it. If you're a flight attendant, if you're a pilot, I would love to hear from you any travel hacks you have that did not make my list. Whatever you're doing today, I hope you're finding joy. I hope you'll subscribe. I do tons of travel content, and then every Saturday I put up a nice, fun weekly vlog. So I'll see you then. Have a great day, and that's it. Bye.